the beat, rock, the beat, the beat, rock, the beat, rock, the beat, rock, the beat, rock, the beat, the beat, rock, the beat, rock, the beat, rock, the beat, rock, the beat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special little recording we're doing, and that we might do a few more of in the future. We don't have a formal title for it yet. It's kind of somewhere between Urtheart's Boombox, Radio Redux, and other stuff. But I am joined here today by LMC head honcho, Kevin.
Hello, everybody.
And I am also joined by our wondrous random genius.
Hello there.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion of a topic we've discussed a few times amongst ourselves, but thought, why not get a recording of it done? And that is of our favourite games that we would like to see remastered or remade, something along those lines. I've asked these two lovely chaps to gather the games they want. We didn't really make a formal rule set for this one. Going forward, we might do so, but the general rules were like, can't have had a remaster or remake in the last year or so, probably, and try not to have more than one per series. Like, the example I gave someone when they said it was like, oh, these 5 Mario games. It's like, you can't think of anything else you'd want remade? Nope, just Mario.
Don't worry, Urtheart, I've completely adhered to those rules. I've only picked 4 Persona games.
Yeah, but what wasn't your 5th one the dancing one?
Oh yeah, that's fine. So yeah, we're just gonna have a nice casual discussion and see what we think of each other's choices, how valid they are, how much we would also want those games to come by. I don't know. I guess we'll just go in reverse order of the live stream team chat, because that's the easiest solution I can think of.
Can I just make an apology before we begin?
Yeah, sure.
Those of you who are listening to this at a later date might be wondering what that noise is in the background. We are recording this on the 5th of November.
Oh yes, there are many explosions.
There are many explosions, all of which I can see being picked up on my mic. So,
Oh really? Because yeah, I can't hear anything. So
yeah, but local recording, I can literally see every explosion making the bar go up.
I'm sure we
so
can
we'll
filter
see.
those out. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But yes, if it sounds like I'm under attack, then the answer is yes, I am. Send help.
You say that. Genuinely, a couple of years back, people were genuinely attacking something near my flat with fireworks because... Let's go with Crazy Theory thing. I think I've told you about this before. So
Oh yes, actually yes. I think I recall this.
yes, and you've seen where I live, so you know what's
Yes.
there. Anyway,
Let's move on to something cheerier, shall we?
yes. So I'm gonna start. We'll start at your. I don't know. How have you guys done your list? I've done mine by like. My number one is the one I most want and probably most likely to be made, and my number 5 is. Yeah, I'd kind of like this. It's probably not likely to happen.
Oh, it's an unordered list for me.
It's scrawled down on a piece of A4 paper folded in half
Yeah.
with a half-broken Sega pen. That's the order I have brought to this.
Fair enough. Well, my number 5 is a game that's technically already had a remaster, but it was 2008 and 9, I think. So, I mean, judging by how long it took Sony to remaster The Last of Us again, I feel like there's a decent amount of time that's gone between them. But at the moment, the only way to play it is to own an Xbox console. You actually can't play it on PC. Oh no, I think you can play the first one on Switch now as well. And
If it's what I think it is, then I think so, yes.
And that is Banjo-Kazooie / Banjo-Tooie. I kind of think you could probably bundle these in together if you really need a single one. I'm going to pick Tooie because I like that game more than Kazooie, to much of the anger of many people. And yeah, I just feel that these games need a little bit more love, especially after Yooka-Laylee kind of didn't do it a very good service. Personally, I think this is the best of the collectathon genre of games, and Microsoft definitely have the resources, and fans have already actually modelled a lot of the levels of the game in like Unreal Engine 5. If you literally look up Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie Remastered, look at some of the modelling work they've done is fantastic. And obviously they already have some shinier, newer models of Banjo and Kazooie from Super Smash Bros. So, yeah.
Why is it that Nintendo are able to model other companies' characters and make them look so much better than the actual companies?
Magic!
I refer you to both Capcom and Sega on this point.
I mean, yes, the version of Mega Man that they have in Smash Bros. Is particularly good.
And Yellow Devil. So yeah, technically for me this is a low priority game because it's still playable on the Rare Replay. But if nothing else, Microsoft, bring Rare Replay to Steam or even the Windows Store so that people on PC can play it. I want to play Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and I don't want to have to load up my Xbox, which I've not touched in 2 years or so. So yeah, my number 5, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. It's low on my list because as much as I want to see it, it's not a high priority, basically.
Cool.
I mean,
we're not exactly going to disagree with you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are pretty solid games from their era, and they still hold up to this day. I still have a blast playing through Kazooie, and although I prefer that over Tooie, I must say that I wouldn't say no to replaying 2E again.
Yeah, that's it. This one isn't. I don't think any of my picks are particularly controversial. There's one I think some people might go, why would you pick that one over any other game in that series? Obviously, Kazooie and T.A I'm kind of bundling into one here. I'm not going to do that with any of my other choices, although I am going to say, like, oh, this could be great in a bundle. A lot of mine seem to be good in bundles. So...
Buy Urtheart, multi-pack variety now.
That's actually one of Urtheart's abilities, is to change his hair colour with, like, different powers and stuff. Well, pretty much Mega Man style.
Actually, you know what you've just done inadvertently?
Go on.
With what you've said there, you've made me change one of my key games on my list.
Oh dear. Well, while you sort that out, Mr. Random Genius, do you want to go for your number 5?
Okay, let's go for number 5. To be honest, this is a purely selfish choice because it holds a lot of nostalgia in my heart.
Is it a shellfish choice as well?
No, it's no. It's not another SpongeBob game or anything crab related. Although it does involve an animal that is somewhat aquatic.
Okay.
And that is purely for nostalgia's sake. That is Croc: Legend of the Gobos.
Yeah,
from the
I've
PlayStation.
never played the original of this. I've heard loads about it.
It's a clunky game nowadays. It's a tank control platformer. But it was the first game I ever played on the PlayStation. It was the first game I ever saw in 3D, so it has that little bit of extra nostalgia to it. And basically, it's a solid enough platformer game. And given the fact that everything under the sun is trying to do remasters of this, that, and the other, because everything's just sort of into that sort of mindset at the minute. It's a case of, well, you're trying to remaster stuff that you know didn't work well first time round. So trying it again with similar results.
I mean, I've seen stuff like KO the Kangaroo and Ty the Tasmanian.
Yeah. So why not go a little bit further back and go for something like that? Now, obviously, the original company has gone under. There's all sorts of legal hoo-ha with the rights and such nowadays. But for a pure nostalgia sake, I would really just like to play it again, and with better controls.
I can see this being a Kickstarter. I can't see this being like a big budget remaster, but I can see it being a Kickstarter.
Exactly. As I say, this is a personal choice. I sincerely don't think this is ever going to happen. But hey, you said free reign of anything, so here it is, free reign of this.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad choice. I having never played the original, it's hard for me to have much of an opinion.
I must say, I love the soundtrack of Croc 1. Absolutely love it. It's
I'm quite fond of the soundtracks of Croc 2, actually.
Yeah, Croc 2 has some good soundtracks. I think one of them is a blatant Hawaii 5-0 ripoff.
Oh, absolutely. I think you'll find if you were to ask the musician, it would be an homage. Alternatively, it's I don't know what you're talking about. It's a completely original piece of music. Go away. Shut up.
I say, did you play these games, Kev? Or?
Croc 2, I did.
Okay, so you played. I mean, would you want to see Croc 2 remastered alongside Croc 1?
I considered it. I considered it on part of my list, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
just
I
thinking
always
about-
found
Yeah.
Croc 2 to be a little half finished. It seemed to end very quickly, in my opinion. But I still thoroughly enjoy Croc 2. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to seeing either of them remastered as a bundle. Another bundle!
Bundle all of them.
Bundle all of them together. Urtheart's Bundle Boombox.
I mean, the next
10 for the price of 5.
I've just realised, other than my number 1, they all could be bundles of mine.
We're off to a good start then.
Radio Redux. You're listening to Radio Redux, part of the LMC block on Radio Sega. Tune in every Sunday at 7 p.m. for more.
So what's your number 5 then, Kev?
I'm going to have to... I was going to say... Because the one that was on the fence was Turrican 2.
Yeah.
But we've had the... Again, to give people an idea, I have not long unboxed half of what I'm supposed to get from Limited Games in regard to their Turrican collection on Switch, and like I say, I was talking to the guys beforehand, and it's not exactly remastered. They've fiddled with it and they've put some stuff in, yeah, but it's not what I would call a remaster. That said, I do think it is kind of disqualified by that. So instead, I'm going to go for a Capcom game that caused me no manner of problems back in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I refer you to the one that is Power Stone.
Oh,
yes.
Now, back in another life, the game I got asked most about on Twitter, back when Twitter was young and not owned by a twat, it was... I kept getting asked about Power Stone, because why aren't you doing a Power Stone? Remake Power Stone, bring back Power Stone. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why you were asking Sega this. It was out on the Dreamcast, but it's a Capcom game. And it got to the point where I literally had written down in responses document several stock answers just dealing with people's demand for Power Stone.
I have a feeling I might have owned a copy on PSP.
It did come out on PSP. There was a PSP version,
but evidently
port at the very
everyone remembers the Dreamcast version.
Yeah, but it was it's what it was. Now, having not played Power Stone, this is purely a sacrificial entry on my list to stop people to save whoever poor sods are currently in charge of social at Sega from having to answer this question ever again. But then again, there's clearly a demand for it. It's a demand that's existed in the 15 years hence from that point, more or less. And it's one that's not been really, looked into. To give you an idea at the confusion of this, if you gentlemen would like to Google Power Stone Remake on Google, you will come across an article no less than 2 weeks ago from Screen Rant, which lists the 10 best Sega games that deserve a sequel, and Power Stone's in there. There's this massive confusion about Power Stone. Now, everything I've seen about Power Stone makes it look like a fantastic game. I would like to play it. I would like to play it online with my friends. Do you not like money, Capcom? Because
that's an interesting question.
Actually, that's an interesting
that is
question.
a very interesting question.
That is interesting. Because a lot of the time, the answer to that would be a very long pause, I think, with the company. But there's untapped potential.
I say I own
in terms
the PSP
of bringing
version.
some. If you're going to bring any of the other franchises back that are strictly Capcom and not within, and not stepping on the toes of Street Fighter. Honestly, Power Stone's a really good bet. And it's a little bit different from everything else that's going on as well, I would argue. So, Power Stone is number one on my list. Well, not number one on my list, but,
Could possibly make that work as a games as a service, maybe.
Possibly, but I suspect the people that would want to play that from a nostalgic point of view, if you said that to them, then they'd spend most of their time in the run-up to the game's release complaining about that fact.
They'll complain about it regardless, let's be honest.
Yes, but let's not give them any reason to do that. You could remake it or port it or do something to it with some netcode in there, which Capcom have done recently with a whole bunch of other games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I actually don't have a Capcom game on my list, I don't think. And, I actually probably got my most requested Capcom game remade, which was the Mega Man Zero collection. And I say remade, it was re-released in a collection. But that's close enough for me, so hence why it wasn't on my list. But there is definitely stuff like there's plenty of Ace Attorney games that need a bit more love, but Power Stone's a good choice especially if you're not just remastering it, but kind of bringing it a little bit more into the modern age to attract more people.
Yeah, Power Stone's been one of those games I've always been on the lookout in terms of playing.
I owned the PSP version, never played it.
I don't think anyone did. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But it's always been up there as one of the big games to get for the Dreamcast, alongside Soul Calibur and other titles. So, I would be all up for a Power Stone collection, Power Stone remake, Power Stone sequel, the third.
Don't start making that one as well.
Capcom,
make that a bundle. That's a bundle too. We'll stick 2 in there as well. There you go.
Stick it in with Techromancer as well.
Capcom, there's your challenge. If you remake Power Stone, we'll play it on LMC.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that.
Sure.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsors.
If you want to sponsor us as well, though.
If you want sponsors as well, look at the sponsored deck, which I have yet to be able to do. Yay.
All good choices so far, I'd say.
I've just checked, actually, and I don't have any duplicate developers on my list, actually.
Hey, variety. That wasn't even one of the conditions I thought of. Like, I think originally we said one per series, just to make sure. Again.
Yeah, I made sure to go for different companies as well.
I didn't consciously do that. I just happened to have. Although you could argue my number 1 and 2 are technically the same company, but I will tell you now, the rights don't stay with the same company.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay then, number 4s. My number 4, this one is very much... My number 2 and 4 are very selfish. But I feel like my number 4 would probably get enough support to get off the ground.
But most importantly, are they shellfish?
No, there is no shellfish in this one. I don't think there's that many fish enemies in the game as well. But it is it's an RPG. It's a strategic RPG, and it was a DS game. So obviously, original DS game, I believe. So it's impossible to pick up anymore. And that is, and prepare for a long title, Final Fantasy Tactics A2: Rift of the Grimoire.
Oh, that game!
Yeah,
that game!
There is.
Oh, I love that game. 100%ed it. 100%ed it.
But where is that in the story of Kingdom Hearts?
So, I don't think that one's referenced in Kingdom Hearts. Actually, I'm just thinking, does Kingdom Hearts reference...
No, I was being facetious because it's such a long title.
True.
You need to put 358 over 2 days featuring Dante from Devil May Cry in order to make it a full.
Well, ironically, this is so it's a spin-off of Final Fantasy Tactics and a sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. But this game also has another spin-off called Crystal Defenders, which full title is Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Rift of the Grimoire Crystal Defenders.
Definitive edition.
I mean,
Golden.
Yeah, sure, let's add that in. But yeah, so strategic RPG, it's a grid-based thing where you have to position your units in order for them to do their abilities. There aren't that many games similar to it, but obviously Square Enix have recently done Triangle Strategy, which is similar. And then you've also got their mobile game War of the Visions, which is, again, similar. But that's free to play and very money hungry, so not touching that one. But obviously this is, again, you could include this in a collection similar to the Castlevania or Mega Man collections and have Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Final Fantasy Tactics A2. But A2 is by far my favourite, just for general variety reasons. It's not quite as harsh as the previous games. The touchscreen controls are very, very good. Although it did mean that because most of the action was happening on the bottom screen, your top screen was just information. So,
it was a common thing at the time with those type of games. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon did the similar thing.
Yeah, I feel sometimes they didn't use the top screen enough for A2. But the other part is it tied into Final Fantasy XII and was part of this big thing they were doing at the time called the Evilise Collection, where they had several games tying into this Evilise area. So Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy Tactics. They did the Tactics remake for PSP as well. And, you know, you could kind of do that again. You could tie it into Final Fantasy XIV with a crossover event. But yeah, because it's a DS game, this one is practically unplayable unless you have a DS and the original game. Which I still do, so I could go play it again. But yeah, I just want to see this one remastered. I think this one would be alright. It's Final Fantasy. And you know, you could also put all of the extra stuff. You could put the Crystal Defenders, which was a tower defense series that had a Wii exclusive version as well. There's loads you could do with it, but you know, just port the base game to start with. So yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Rift of the Grimoire is my number 4.
I would see that work very well with the 2D HD style that Square Enix have been done recently with stuff like Triangle Strategy and Live a Live. So yeah, I would be all up for that.
I'd be happy with a port for that. Just, you know, I'd like to play it again.
I mean, true. But if you do want to go down the full remake, remaster route, then the 2D HD is a very good thing to go down for that kind of game.
True.
But yeah, no, a straight up port of the Final Fantasy Tactics series, I would be all up for.
Yeah, to be fair, the original Tactics these days is only available on mobile and supposedly runs terribly. And Advance is, well, Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, not finding that very easily.
Oh, is that on the Wii U shop?
No, don't think so. Kev's
I am curious now. I am curious now. 1 second.
I imagine this is a series Kev has no interest in.
never miss a show. Subscribe to Radio Redux now on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and all major podcast platforms.
Also,
in which case, Kev may have even less interest in what my number 4 choice will be.
Oh dear, what is?
We all have very different choices.
That's good.
True.
15 different
on
games.
these things. Yeah.
There's a couple of these lists in the future. I suspect.
Have I got absolutely zero interest in Final Fantasy and pretty much most of Square Enix's catalogue? Yes. Which is to say that I don't. but you know, I can appreciate that those kind of games definitely need to, you know, see the light of day again.
Have we had anything like a? I mean, actually, I'd say that the main place the strategic RPG now lives is with the Disgaea series, and the recent entry of that was not great from what I hear. So
The only other one that comes close is it's not the same, but it's similar, and that would be Fire Emblem and Advance Wars. Unfortunately, the planned Advance Wars remaster has been put on hold due to world nonsense.
yes, and it looks like it's been put on hold indefinitely. So yeah, bring back Advance Wars. That's a remake I want.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say it.
I mean, yes, but it's in perpetual limbo at the minute, so I didn't want to.
Yeah, Advance Wars is a bit of a weird one as well. As much as I like Advance Wars, it's one of those games where I don't feel like we're missing out much on it. And if they're going to remake Days of Ruin, which is my favourite.
The Bleak one.
Yeah, although I just feel it was better balanced, was my reasoning. Also, the music in that one is really good. Slightly off topic.
Now, well, back on topic. If you have access to a Wii U console, and if you have money on it, and if it's before whenever time the Wii U shop shuts, you can get a download copy of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance off there.
Really? I did not think it was on there.
This does require a lot of things to be going your way, though.
It does.
Or
Just
you
all
can
of that
emulate
needs to
it.
be-
Or you can just buy a copy from CEX.
I mean, we could all
It's-
just do that.
Yeah, I actually found a copy in there for £10 the other month. But I actually have a physical copy myself, so...
Yeah. Hey, Earth. Good
Yep.
news. Good news. TA's found you a copy. It costs £20 if you want it.
I don't have a Game Boy. I don't think I have a Game Boy Advance to play it on anymore.
Oh, good news.
Oh, good
He's
news.
found one of those as well. It's £320.
But yes, what is your number 4?
So, number 4 is kind of a similar vein to Earth's number 4, in which it is Final Fantasy.
Huh.
Now, one of the things in recent years that has generated a lot of discussion has been Final Fantasy VII and its remake. And I'm going to be honest here, I wasn't the biggest fan, of Final Fantasy VII when I first played it. I thought it was a perfectly solid game, perfectly enjoyable, but it didn't quite grab me in the same way as something like Final Fantasy IX did. And that's fair enough. And obviously 7 became this big juggernaut with the spin-offs, the movies, and everything else. And then, of course, the whole thing came along with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I actually sat down and played that, and I think they are both very different games. Straight out of the block, 7 and 7 Remake are very different games, but I really liked how they made 7 up to date, but also kept some of that charm from the original, and it just really felt right to me. And in all honesty, I know it's going to take a lot of manpower, a lot of hours, and a lot of everything else, but I would love for them to try and do that with another Final Fantasy game. Now, instinctively, because of my history with the series and with LMC, the default option would be to go to Final Fantasy V, because, I did the whole 4-job Fiesta thing. It's my go-to game in terms of the series, sort of just general stuff. It has Gilgamesh / Greg, one of the best Final Fantasy characters, recurring characters, I should say, throughout the series. But you know what I would really like, and this kind of would impact your rules a little bit, Earth.
Yeah, go for it.
So I would like to see how they would handle Final Fantasy VI.
You're thinking in the vein of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Exactly.
Because, oddly enough, 5 and 6 have recently had a more of a HD remaster, I would call
Yes,
it, rather than a
and
remake.
This was why I was thinking down the whole remake route, as in build up from scratch, as opposed to a remaster, which is just pretty things up, dust a few things off.
I'm slightly glad you said this, because I was going to have to be the fly in the ointment and say, yeah, they won't do 5 before they've done 6. Because you're doing 7, and by the way, I love how you said in recent years. Do you remember when that 7 remake was announced? Because I've literally just looked it up, okay?
Oh, God.
It was made June 15th, 2015.
Yeah.
The announcement.
That's recent years. It's recent years compared...
Recent years!
It's recent years compared to Final Fantasy Versus 13. That was announced 2009.
We've had like 12
2008.
prime ministers in that time. Come on.
Hang on. I'm going to just double check that one.
What?
Final Fantasy Versus 13.
Which
Versus
is now,
13.
which
Oh,
then
who
became
knows?
15.
Come on, Lightning's returned at least 4 times in that period.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Versus 13 / Final Fantasy 15, 2006. So, 7 Remake is comparatively recent compared to that.
Yeah. But yeah, so announcement was made June 15th during E3 2015. Debut gameplay trailer was shown December 5th, 2015 during PlayStation Experience.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Crazy. But yeah, it's sort of... To have 5, it would suffer from Sonic 4 syndrome. Which is if you do something and name something in such a way, or you position yourself in such a way that you sort of then become obliged to do something.
Yeah.
And if you're doing 7 and then you did 5, there would be a lot of expectation for 6.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's why I went for 6 first, because I know that one was... It was a game that was actually more wider, had a wider audience at point of release, because it was Final Fantasy 3 over in the US.
It was Final Fantasy
I know
3
it has-
over here originally as well, wasn't it?
Possibly?
I would have to ask
I
someone that owned a
never
SNES
saw
back
a
in the
copy
day.
of the SNES Final Fantasy 3 / Final Fantasy 6 over here, but yeah, 6 is up there with, from what I've heard, as one of the best Final Fantasy games, because I've not actually played it. It's on my to-play list. I just haven't got around to playing it yet.
I have
I multiple copies of the game. Let me be fair. I've got multiple copies of the game. I just haven't sat down and played it yet because
It's good.
I cannot focus on one game at a time.
It's good. My biggest complaint is the halfway point makes it very difficult to continue. And as much as I like every character having their own abilities, it gets a little bit confusing because you have something along the lines of like 16 different playable characters in that game. There's a lot. But no, I don't disagree. I think that would be... I mean, bear in mind, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and whatever the last one's called, I can't remember.
Reboot. Resurgence, Revengeance.
That's not going to be finished until God knows how long.
Well, this is the thing. You may end up having Final Fantasy VII Remake be the first remake / reboot. I mean, I know it's an interesting situation with that title, but you may well have that, considering the amount of time and when stuff first came out. You may have that be straddling 3 console generations.
Oh no, you almost definitely will.
Which is crazy.
That's
Well, it's already
Kingdom Hearts
it's already
level
2.
of stretching things out.
Well, Kingdom Hearts missed an entire generation.
Wait. So, are we saying that the problem with Kingdom Hearts was Square Enix all along?
Well, I think Tetsuya Naruma, but yes.
Yeah, we thought it was just the problem with Disney, but it turns out that Disney was actually the good guys.
Yeah, so the next one, Rebirth, is out next year. But then it's like, they gave a vague...
Maybe next year.
No, they
At
confirmed.
the time of recording, 2023. No.
Didn't they?
It's good for late 2023 or early 2024.
Ha.
There's a bit of an asterisk there. You know,
Fair.
if there's not anything going on that would, result in things being delayed around the world again. That
is true. Though I will say, almost made on this list was Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, but that is coming out as a remaster / remake.
Yes.
At the time of recording, in about a month's time, which means it is going to miss my Game of the Year awards, which are recording next month. But yeah, it's... I thoroughly enjoyed the 7 remake. I would love to see what they do with the 6, but I think it wouldn't be as impactful as 7, personally. I don't know how... I know 6 is very beloved with SNES fans, so it'd be interesting to see how much of a splash, let's say, that would make.
Is 8 the one with the big, massive gut punch?
8's
you're gonna have to narrow it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
The big, the yeah. I want to be sort of as vague as possible for people like myself that aren't. But I seem to recall, like, wasn't it 8 that was just like the love story, and then haha, screw you for liking the love story?
I mean, technically, you could say that for 7 as well.
I think I know what you mean. 8's a weird one because some people really loved it. Some people hated it. So many conspiracy theories around it based on the plot.
Yeah. I think that if you did 8 over anything else afterwards, you would get more of a reaction. Strangely, because no matter what, everyone has an opinion on 8. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, I would say.
Yeah. The thing though is because bear in mind that they changed 7's battle system dramatically.
Oh, hell yeah. But then again, I think you'll find that Remake has changed 7's battle system quite severely.
Oh, 7 has changed the plot severely of 7, which is interesting.
Final Fantasy Remake was very much in quotation marks.
Well, to be fair,
I mean, it was a remake. It just wasn't the remake. Just didn't remake everything quite the same way. That's what a remake is.
To be fair, of any game to hold the title remake, Final Fantasy VII pulls it off the best.
But then likewise, though, I think I'm sticking with this, that 8 is possibly the next one. If you said, we're going to do the same thing to 8...
Yeah, that would be...
It is kind of divisive, because then everyone would be like, oh, wow, where are they going to take that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
If suddenly, if you from the outset go, hey, we might, move the margins on this a little bit in terms of what was going on, and it was already kind of like, what the heck's going on? If they did a what the heck's going on explanation, a bit like they sort of do in the middle of 7 Remake, as I recall.
Well,
where the fact that it's not the same is semi-addressed.
I will say it's actually made worse by the set, because the other weird bit is obviously 7 Remake has a DLC that shows a story that didn't happen in the original, and there is a secret ending to that one, which very dramatically changes a lot about the plot.
If you're gonna screw, basically any of these 3,
yeah,
any of the ones in terms of 5, 6, or 8. If you want to, if they've got the taste for screwing around with the fans and their expectations, which I think they have with 7, we'll see, or 7R, I should say. We should see.
Yeah. The 7R trilogy. Oh god, that's going to be confusing.
7R trilogy.
So yes.
then we've got
Well,
the pseudo sequels to 7 that need to be done.
That's only Advent Children Dirge Cerberus.
What's Dirge Cerberus was the one I was thinking.
I've never played that one. I would be interested in playing a remake. I mean,
well, if what's happened in 7R is continues on, my limited knowledge of Dirge Cerberus, that changes that monstrously in terms of the focus. So who knows?
Ironically, I should know more of the story of Dirge of Cerberus from the Record Keeper games. I don't remember any of the things it said in that one.
Don't worry, just replay that. Oh, wait, hang on.
Yeah, wait, what you're saying is if there was only some sort of remake or remaster of it, you might be able to learn the lore of these things a bit more. But then again, they need to remake and remaster it because now the lore's different.
I mean, look at Crisis Core. They're already doing some of it. We've just got before Crisis, Dirge of Cerberus.
They're gonna you know full well that eventually they're just gonna Resident Evil this crap and they're just gonna remake everything.
Probably.
But then they have to include Kingdom Hearts 2 in it as well.
Oh gosh, yes.
Which makes no sense anyway.
Oh no.
What's the greater likelihood? New Kingdom Hearts sequel or Kingdom Hearts reboot?
Well, bear in mind Kingdom Hearts 4 is in development. I reckon
that means nothing.
That means nothing. Kingdom Hearts 3 was in development for however long.
Absolutely nothing. And you know that full well, Mr. Urtheart.
So going back,
there's a Kingdom Hearts sequel in development. I bet there is, but a Kingdom Hearts sequel in development for the past what feels like 5 centuries. It doesn't mean a damn thing. There'll be 7 more games released in the meantime, half of which will change the one half of everything you've played through previously, and the other half of those new games will change the other half of the stuff that you've played previously.
Hi, 358 over 2 days. Anyway,
Hi.
Final Fantasy 6 then.
Why? Final Fantasy 6. Yes, agreed. A good choice.
Yeah,
good choice, and I can't wait to see what they do in 10 years.
Oh God!